Well, hi everyone, this is Don Smith. I am a Sony Artisan of Imagery member and also a proud member of the Stingray Ambassador team. And I welcome you to our monthly PhotoLogo image review session. This is for the month of August. We've been doing these for, I don't know, 3 or 4. This might be the fourth or fifth one we've been doing now. I've been having a blast personally looking at all your fantastic images. Again, we've got another strong batch of images, 7 that I want to review. So why don't we just jump right in? You're going to see a nice mix today of different styles of photography and different subjects. And right off the bat, we're going to start off with a beautiful portrait from Lynn. This one caught my eye immediately when the batch of pictures came in for me to select from. I just really loved everything, Lynn, about this image. It's kind of what I would consider a traditional style of portraiture that we don't see a whole lot of anymore. And it's just so eloquently done. Starting with the pose. I mean, this is just the classic pose for women. Shoulders 45 degrees from the camera, and then bring the subject's chin over towards the front shoulder and right at the camera. I love the positioning that you're eye to eye with this subject, excuse me. The subject is beautiful. There's other things I want to go over that really make this image work for me. When we're doing portraiture work, one of the first things I discovered way back when I did portraiture is you're in charge of everything as a photographer, right down to telling your subjects what to wear. And this is just so non-distracting. Lynn knew she was going to use this kind of dark brownish background. And I don't know if you had a light kind of coming back up in here, or that was done in processing, or if that's just the way the backdrop looked. But it's beautiful because it allows the subject's head to be framed with this darker vignette. This is very non-distracting, the clothing, and the white just offsets beautifully into the skin tones here. The lighting is exquisite. They say the catch lights are the dead giveaway. So we obviously have something coming straight into her eyes, but then we have over here to camera left something a lot larger, maybe a softbox, could be a window. It's just perfectly lit. The other thing I really look for when doing portraiture that I notice a lot of amateurs struggle with is getting the separation off the hair and from the background, tonality wise. And that's something that is just not an issue. Again, I don't know if, Lynn, if you used a hair light over the top here. Looks like you may have. But it's just everything about this image really works for me. And even where you place your photo logo, and we are going to talk about the logos on all of this, I think really either side, but you chose to work it in off the back side, which is perfectly lower left. I think that's just where that logo needs to be. This is one I really would just give an A+ to. I don't see anything I would change. I mean, I love this portrait. Great job, Lynn. Okay, let's move along to something a little bit different. We'll get into the insect world here with a beautiful soft lit scene of a butterfly. Once again, when I first saw this image, it takes me a while to kind of get absorbed into an image and look for what I really like and what could be distracting, what could help the picture along. Most of this image to me just works. It's the depth of field. We need to talk about that, number one. And this, by the way, is Parag, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Parag. Excuse me if I'm not, but there has to be a depth of field shot with a bit of a telephoto lens here, a wider aperture, to get the separation, obviously, from the butterfly. We don't want to lose the butterfly back into the foliage back in here. And Parag did a great job right off the get-go on doing that. What I also love too is the color contrast in this image. We have just a strong greenish background, and this dark butterfly just wants to jump right off the screen at you. That's looking beyond just separation and depth of field. I hope this makes sense. A lot of what we do as photographers, you have to remember, is we control where we want the viewer's eye to land in our scene. And one of the ways to do that is by movement, is by what is sharp, what is not sharp, is by lines. We go through all of this during the image review. Not only was depth of field used here, but color contrast was used here to just get that bit of a separation. I think, Parag, the only thing I would do, this stem here and this stem, not so much here, but mainly up in here, these are very, very bold lines, and the eye tends to want to jump onto bold lines once it comes into your scene here with the butterfly. I would go back and just slightly, it looks like you've already tried to tone that down, burn that down, but right up in here on the edge, and you've gotten it beautifully here, but I would complete that little section right there. I would match the tonality that you have right there. I would match it here. That would stop the eye from going out. Conversely, looking far over on this stem on the right side, same thing. I would take that down just a nudge, and you've got it. Just a beautifully done image. Again, I loved where you used the same color in your logo. Put it right down below the butterfly. I think that's perfect. That's where it just seems to fit. Great job. Other than those two little things with the stem, I wouldn't change a thing about this picture. Oh boy, this one, I love this shot when it first popped up. The great photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson was known for, the moment, capturing the moment. This is what he preached in his photography, in his pictures, in his writings. You have to get that one special moment right. And it can be portraiture, it can be the butterfly we just saw, it can be anything. But this shot, I'm assuming, is a fox. Just that little look with this rim light back in here, to me, that just made the shot. The rim light, number one, is what makes your subject obviously pop. Lighting is so, so important, you guys, and you're demonstrating it. I don't think this is anything new that I'm telling you. This is a shot, by the way, done by Ron Asp. And Ron stayed patient, got that moment. I think the only thing I would try, Ron, and I don't know if this would help or not, I would go back and just slightly lighten up these eyes, just a bit more, to get the viewer's eye to really connect in with the fox's eye. Just try that. A little bit of dodging in each eye, maybe around this area right in here. Don't overdo it. I think that would really just, seal the deal, for, as we say, for this image. Ron used a pretty heavy vignette. Certainly nothing wrong with that. We want that eye to come right in here. But again, the moment is just perfect. I think on the logo, this may be a candidate for me where I may take the opacity down just a smidgen, Ron. It's a heavy draw at 100% on solid white that wants to pull the eye away from me wanting to stay up in here. So the logos are important, but just try maybe toning that down. Just try a lesser opacity. Again, it may or may not work. I'm just trying to offer some ideas, something that I would do in my own photography when I was sitting down to process these images. Okay, let's move along to the next one from Steve Cole. I just think as an action shot, and I used to be a long time sports photographer before I started making my living as a landscape photographer. So I can really appreciate well captured action images, and this is about as good as they get. I mean, this eagle with its talons into this fish, you've captured the perfect moment. The bend of the wings is just awesome. I'm assuming you're shooting motor drive across that. And, you know, we're just looking for that one, again, I'll go back to the moment, that one moment that makes it all come together. And with the wings just enfolding the fish, perfect placement of the logo here. It all ties together. We've got that circular movement coming around here. Even the clouds and the lighting are working for you, Steve, because you got the darker clouds back in here with the eagle flying in towards the brighter clouds, right? So the eye's always going to gravitate towards the brightest part of the scene, and the face of the eagle is really the brightest part to me, but it's wanting to suck your eye right into this area. I call it the where's the action of the scene happening? And the action of the scene is all happening right in here, and then everything else around just has to be support. And that is tough to do when you're doing action, so Steve did a terrific job here. Okay, let's move into a landscape picture done by Bong, and I'm not going to attempt your last name, Bong. By the way, before let's reverse this. I want to start with this logo because I love this light chaser. I think really when we distill down our photography, all of us, you guys, isn't that really what separates our photography over everybody else's, is the light. Subject is so important. How we control the placement of elements in our scene are so important. But when you get right down to it, light is what makes the image. And I'm working with a new photographer right now who I'm trying to get that idea instilled into their minds, that light will make or break your image. And this is just an image that caught my attention because it looks like Bong utilized neutral density filters here. And if you're new to neutral density filters, they come in different strengths. And so you can have a 5-stop, 10-stop, 15-stop, 20-stop. And what it's doing, if I say I'm using a 5-stop neutral density, the entire filter screws onto the front of your lens and it blocks 5 stops of light. So what we do is we open up the shutter to compensate, and that allows any movement within the scene to start to blur. There's a professional photographer's term. We used to refer to this as dragging the shutter. I don't know if you've ever heard that term or not. So that smooths out all this water. If there's anything that was moving up in the sky, it tends to smooth that out. And it just allows the eye to come in on what's really important. And that is this beautifully snow-capped mountain. And I love this foreground of trees right here. There's layers here. Even where you kind of darken down the water here, Bong, I really like that. I miss that. I usually go over these images and jot down a few notes, but I like to do this more spontaneously when I look at this image because these images, because I tend to see more. So this creates a layer and it forces the eye up, starting into the water, and then we come into what is stable and sharp and in focus, and then transitions back off into a darker sky. I think the only thing I would tell you to do, that if, just to go back and take a look, is this little area, be this cloud or fog, I'm not sure, or what, excuse me, let me move forward again. I'm not sure what that is. We'll just call it a cloud. I would like to see that darken down just a smidgen because it's right here against the edge of the frame. And I tend to call those eye leaks, where the eye can come up and start to move out because that's a bright portion of the scene. I don't want to see it, where it's an obvious burn, Bong, but I would just take it down maybe to the tone that this is right here and just try to work the eye back and away from that and keep the eye moving back into the scene. Okay, we're going to go for two more here. Mark submitted this shot of a cool little waterfall. I have no idea where this is at. I really like it. Um, and one thing right off the bat that Mark did to kind of take this shot over the top was either planned this or got lucky. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Mark, and say you use some software like Photographer's Ephemeris to plan when that Milky Way was going to be in alignment over the falls. I just did something about 5-6 weeks ago down along the Big Sur coast where I had to wait till 2 in the morning on a moonless night to get the Milky Way to align with the coast. And the way we did it is by utilizing programs like the Photographer's Ephemeris. There's other ones like Photo Pills is a great program, a little app rather. I won't call it a program. It's an app for your phone. And a friend of mine and I could pretty much dial in when that Milky Way was going to be there. And this looks like possibly what you did, Mark, which is very awesome. I love where you threw some light back in here. I don't know if you use like a headlamp or something. I think that's needed in this scene because this looks like very dark rocks. You can see the transition really falling off into darkness here. So this needed to be brightened up a little bit to pull the eye back down in there. I'm not sure if that's a shooting star or a comet. If it's a shooting star, I would probably, it's just me, I would probably take that out. At least try it and then put the images side by side and see which one you like better. And you may like that. There's no right or wrong when shooting at night. The one thing I'll definitely take out, and that's going to be any foreign object like an airplane or a helicopter that's flying over, or a flying saucer, huh? But nice, last thing I want to leave you on, nice processing of the Milky Way. The Milky Way, to our eyes, we obviously can't see any color up in the Milky Way, and that has to do with the ratio of cones to rods in our eye. Our rods start taking over at night, and it's only transmitting black and white signals to our brain. But these digital cameras are so sensitive that it can pick up this color, and sometimes you just see Milky Ways that look over the top. I mean, I'm guilty with that, and sometimes you don't. I think this is down here where the logo went. Perfect placement. There's really no other spot in that image where it should have been. So overall, great job, Mark. I'm going to move on to the last one, Alex. Again, the use of an ND filter here. I think that's what really took this from a very good picture to an excellent picture, is that Alex found composition with this little bit of a puddle of water in this dried out. I don't know if this is some form of a lake bed or a river or what this is. Regardless, he got it when the clouds were lit by either sunrise or sunset light, and use either a graduated neutral density filter to get some movement, or probably a neutral density because I'm seeing movement down here in the water too. And that just, when you guys set a composition and you're waiting for the light, just always ask yourself that, what if? Can I try something even a little bit more that would be a little bit different in this shot and make it a little bit stronger and add some visual interest? And Alex decided on getting some movement up here in the clouds. I think it worked beautifully, and that's what elevated this image up to a very beautiful image status. Here's one thing I'm going to show you, Alex, up here. I would maybe, again, darken that down, or just take my content aware, my lasso tool in Photoshop, and try taking that out. Again, I'm hypersensitive to anything that's light or white, especially a line that's along an edge. It's an eye grab, and we don't want that eye exiting out of our frame. Lastly, where Alex chose to put the logo, perfect, dead bang on. I don't think it would have worked down here in either corner. So that's the image review. You guys, you're doing Awesome work. I got to tell you, as a professional, you're keeping me excited, and I know it's hard for all of us to move around right now, depending on what part of the world you're living in. Uh, Always make safety your number one concern when getting out to photograph this. I know you guys are. But the fact that you're creating and you're producing beautiful imagery is inspiring to me. So until next month, keep going, keep getting out there, keep creating as much as you can. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll talk to you next month.